Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello and welcome to Mary vs. the Movies with your host Mary Jones.
And Dennis Ling.
And it is now December.
Yay.
So we're going to get into some Christmas stuff. I mean, look, let's be honest. It is Christmas stuff. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of in the way of Hanukkah specials or New Year's or anything like that.
Well, if there are, recommend them to us.
Oh, absolutely. Please do. Yes. We need more recommendations.
Yeah.
And expand our horizons, please.
I've heard that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
You know what? I've heard that line way too many times, and I'm tired of it. And I like Die Hard.
Yeah.
But you know what's a Christmas movie?
Predator.
No.
Oh, maybe McTiernan just always makes movies in Christmas.
He's the real Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so the hard part is, I grew up. I was a child in the '80s, so I watched a lot of Christmas movies and a lot of Christmas specials.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen most of them. At some point, we're gonna have to start pulling out TV movies that we've already done that at least once.
We did the Fonz one.
We did the Fonz one. We did the Fonz. It's Henry Winkler. Come on.
Smoky Mountain Christmas. That was fun.
I liked Smoky Mountain Christmas. I would watch that again. I might watch that again while I'm working. But so it's hard to find stuff that I haven't seen. But we have one here.
Yep.
And it's even a Rankin-Bass
Yay.
special.
I just wrote about Rankin-Bass stuff on the newsletter.
That's true. That's right. Yeah. And if you want to read our newsletter where you get all sorts of our thoughts on movies that we're watching or, music or pizza.
Or no pizza if I haven't had any in months.
Months? What, a week?
It's been 2 weeks.
It has not been 2 weeks since you've had pizza.
It's been forever.
It has not been.
Throat is dry.
Anyway, Rankin-Bass. Everybody knows of Rankin-Bass specials. If you haven't watched them directly, then you certainly probably ran into a parody of them. We all remember Rudolph with Hermie the dentist elf and Yukon Cornelius and all that. And we also remember Frosty the Snowman and his magic hat and that bunny that escaped a magician and
that's a really slight one of all of those.
What,
it's
Frosty?
It's
okay.
It's basically just retelling the song. But then when he melts and she's crying in the reflection, it's one of the saddest images on TV.
Dennis, Niagara Falls.
Exactly.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. What just happened?
Yeah, they're good at tugging on the heartstrings, man.
Yeah.
A week ago maybe, I guess it was about a week ago, we watched Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah.
And, that one's great. It's basically, what if Santa was an anarchist who started a commune and his girlfriend was a teacher who drops acid?
Yeah.
It's so good. I love Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Okay, yes, it's voiced by Mickey Rooney, which is, but it's a great show.
That's how I knew about Fred Astaire. I had no idea who that dude was. Just a skinny dude that leaped around.
You never watched any of
and was really good at spinning letters in his hand.
I can't believe you had never seen a Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers movie.
No, of course. Why would I watch one Fred Astaire Ginger Rogers movie when I was 5?
Because they're good. Flying down to Rio. I watched them when I was 5. Okay, maybe I had a weird childhood.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Rankin-Bass, look, they've created a few actual legitimate classics.
And some weirdos.
They made the first film version of The Hobbit.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. It's my first encounter with The Hobbit, actually, is that movie. I had a picture book of it before I can even remember. I always had it. It's one of those 7-inch things where they have the record with it and everything. But you go back and watch their film version of The Hobbit, it rules, man.
Yeah.
John Huston plays Gandalf the Wizard.
I think that was my aunt and uncle's gateway drug for me. They had bought me King Arthur stuff, and I'm like, this is boring. I'm never gonna get into King Arthur.
Hey,
but
what?
But when they saw I was a huge fan of the Hobbit thing. Like they bought me that huge book.
Yeah, you have
the picture book. That's amazing.
It's a crazy book because it's basically the entire text of Tolkien's The Hobbit, but with all of the illustrations are from the movie.
Yeah, it's got these fold out pictures and
It's
stuff.
so
The one of
cool.
Smaug, like spoiler alert, gets hit with an arrow. But
Thanks, hon.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's not like I didn't sit through those 3 Peter Jackson movies either. Oh my God. I mean, the amount of disappointment I felt, if you could somehow channel that, you would power a city for 3 years. But anyway, so they made The Hobbit. The Hobbit is great. The other movie they made that's amazing is The Last Unicorn. Now, you've never seen The Last Unicorn, and at some point, we're going to do a little role reversal of Dennis versus the movies, and I'm going to show you The Last Unicorn, which is one of the most beautiful animated films ever made.
Really?
Why are you looking at me like that? First of all, the Rankin-Bass animation division is all from Japan.
Yeah.
And
it's
basically
Studio Ghibli.
It's basically Studio Ghibli. It became Studio Ghibli. They have some legit classics. They kind of help define Christmas in the United States.
To be honest, I didn't know that they made The Last Unicorn. So
Yeah.
I'm just
Now you want to see it, don't you?
a little bit.
All right. I'll take it. And we'll get an episode out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, here's the thing. They made a lot of Christmas specials. They also made like Easter specials, which are a little weird. I've watched some of them, like Peter Cottontail and the Easter Bunny is coming to town, and they're just weird, slight little things. And I mean, they have a certain charm to them. One of them is like kind of a weird riff on the Velveteen Rabbit.
I like the little drummer boy one.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, it's weird, kind of.
Yeah, and then they have this bizarre one from the 80s that I watched as a kid, and I thought was great, but my mother's just like, oh, this is a little too pagan, which is The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, which is basically Santa Claus is raised by, like, Carnunos or something. Like, literally, the dude looks like Carnunos. He has the antlers and everything. It's crazy. He's raised by elves. It rocks.
Yeah.
So it's a very weird special, and it's based on, like, an L. Frank Baum or whatever his name is, book or something. So I've watched a lot of those, but believe it or not, a couple Rankin-Bass specials have passed me by, and this is one of them. And this one is called The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold. I'm not encouraged by that title. Like, this can't be good. What are we doing here? Like, okay, my ancestors come from Ireland. But I'm not one of those people I'm not one of those Americans who are like, I'm Irish. I'm like, no, man, I'm from Philadelphia. I'm not Irish. So I'm apologizing in advance to the people of Ireland for what we're about to watch. Thank God it's a short one. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's only 24 minutes. And unlike, like all of the big ones you can probably find on Amazon, you can watch Rudolph and you can watch Santa Claus and all that stuff. You can watch like The Year Without a Santa Claus, which is great. You can watch all that stuff on like Amazon or Apple TV or whatever. This one, I'm pretty sure the only place we're going to find it is on the Internet Archive, which, to be fair, you can find a lot of crazy stuff on there. This is not one of their better known ones, and I have a feeling we're going to sit through 24 minutes of Americans doing bad Irish accents.
It's too bad Sean Connery isn't, coming back for what's that movie that he was in?
Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Actually, here's the thing. I have complicated feelings about that movie because there were Irish actors in there, and like I don't want to get into that, But
Okay.
yeah, that's a whole kind of complicated. Like, it's going to be playing into weird ethnic stereotypes, and there is a problem of the tweeification of Ireland in the American psyche, and that's something that has always been a problem, where the Irish are either, Neanderthals essentially, drunken, wife-beating
Eagles fans.
Eagles, yeah. I mean, all of the terrible things to say about Philadelphia have been said about the Irish.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, or there is this tweeness about the whole thing, where it's leprechauns and pots of gold and banshees and fairies, and they're all
cereal.
Yeah,
Lucky
yeah,
Charms.
exactly. Lucky Charms and Irish Spring soap and things like that. And, Ireland is a country like any other country with a very complicated and sad history. And I can forgive at least John Ford for The Quiet Man, because I think that's a much more interesting and deeper film than people give it credit for. But I also understand how it contributed to the tweeification of Irish culture in the American consciousness. While still, absolutely loving that movie for its own reasons. The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold, I have a feeling, will not be like The Quiet Man.
It's not going to be a 20. It's not just a 24-minute fight across the grass.
That would be great. I don't know what this is. The Leprechaun's Christmas gold. I mean, what could this possibly be about? I guess the leprechauns have gold. It gets stolen. They probably get it back. I mean, I'm not looking. It's not going to be a complicated plot. Why are there leprechauns involved? Did they? Here's what I'm wondering. Like, was Rankin-Bass like, can we force our way into St. Patrick's Day specials? How do you do that? Where they look, because, they did a couple Easter specials, like I said. They have a couple under their belt. And so I'm sure they were looking for other holidays to horn in on. I mean, I think they did a Halloween one. Isn't that what the Monster Party Island one is? Isn't that a Rankin-Bass?
I think so.
Yeah, and that one's fun, actually.
You know what? I don't remember that.
Oh, well, I mean, whatever. Don't worry about it. But, so, I don't know what this thing is.
It just seems like they started off, they had songs.
Right.
It would always be based on a song, and then they're like, okay, we'll throw in an elf that thinks he's a dentist.
Yeah.
We'll throw in a penguin that's from the South Pole.
And it works in those early ones. It's actually really good.
It's like as B plots, you just throw in craziness.
Yeah, and
then the New Year, Rudolph's Shiny New Year one.
That's just bizarre.
That's just going off the rails.
I don't know what is going on in Rudolph's Shiny New Year. I mean, I know what's going on in it, but it's a very strange special, which we have watched more than once.
We can't do that one.
No, we can't do that one. It's a shame because it is so strange.
Yeah, you've seen the Garfield ones.
I've seen Garfield's Christmas. I've seen Garfield's
He-Man.
Thanksgiving. I've seen. Oh my God!
We watched the He-Man one.
We have the DVD of the He-Man She-Ra Christmas special. Thank you very much. And I could easily go back and rewatch it because it's got Skeletor having to be led around by a couple of children and just being like, "What are you people doing to me?" and stop being nice to me. It's great. I love it. Yeah,
he comes around, right? Like
he does. He comes around. He's just like, "Oh no, I hate this. I'm being nice."
Unlike Burgermeister Meisterburger.
Yeah, no, Burgermeister Meisterburger. That's more like Hordak in the He-Man special. Again, I've seen like Yogi's First Christmas. I've seen the one where Fred Flintstone has to dress up as a mall Santa, and then there's like another one where Fred Flintstone is like Scrooge or something. I don't know. I mean, I've seen Mickey's Christmas Carol. I've seen every Muppet Christmas special there is, as far as I can tell. So I've seen them all. This is the one I haven't seen, and there's probably a good reason. I am sure there's a very good reason I have never seen this stupid thing.
So, love triangle?
Amongst the leprechauns?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Death? How many? Body count?
God, I hope so. Because otherwise, what are we watching?
I don't know. There's got to be a bad guy, right?
Yeah, there has to be a villain. I don't know what the villain is going to be. I'm sure it'll be some... okay, so here's the thing with Rankin-Bass, and this is the last thing I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a villain, I will bet this is set somewhere vaguely in like 1910, because all of their specials seem to be set kind of like 1910-ish.
Okay.
It all feels in that kind of right before the First World War world, where it's all ice cream parlors and women with bustles. It's it's the same world of the Music Man, right?
Huh.
It's that whole weird Americana. Because think about Santa Claus is coming to town, even though that's set in Europe. It is like
northern country
in the somewhere in the northern countries. I mean, look at how Jessica is dressed, right? Look at the Meisterburger. The Burgermeister Meisterburger. Think about the Night Before Christmas one, the animated one with the clock and the mice and everything.
Yeah.
That's definitely set like vaguely 1910.
Like New England? I guess?
Something like that. The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town, I think, is another one. And that's kind of the Velveteen Rabbit. And that's also sort of set in, like 1910.
So the Easter Bunny becomes a real bunny?
Yes.
Really?
That's literally, they take the Velveteen Rabbit and turn it into the Easter Bunny story.
That's weird.
It is a very weird little special. I kind of like it, but it is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that this is also something set in that kind of vaguely Main Street USA, Pollyanna. Like Disney would do the same thing. Everything is set in like 1910. I'm sure this is the same sort of thing. Just like, like Pete's Dragon is the same way. Like that's a whole thing for stuff made in the middle of the 20th century. Because it's basically like a bunch of guys who are 50, like making stuff for when they were children.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this is going to be kind of the same thing. I don't know for sure, but I won't be surprised if it is. All right, so shall we go and find out what the Leprechaun's Christmas gold is?
Yeah, let's get
and
this
be
over with.
horrified. Yeah.
Oh,
The golden gold of Ireland's only seen by leprechauns, for we mine it in the middle of the night. And we plant a sea of shamrocks to disguise the hiding spots. That's the way we keep 'em out of bloom and sight. Oh, the golden gold of Ireland, nobody's ever seen. Nobody's ever seen. Nobody's ever seen. Oh, the golden gold of Ireland.
So, do you love it?
In the words of Krusty the Clown, what the hell was that? To the people of the Republic of Ireland and those of Northern Ireland, I am so sorry. I don't feel good about that. Wow.
Yeah.
So I think there's a reason this is not well known. To call it slight is an insult to things that are thin and could easily fall over. I guess they heard the song Christmas in Killarney, which is not an old song, actually, even when this was made. It was written in the early 50s.
Yep.
They heard the song Christmas in Killarney and said, hey, we can do something with that. They couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
it's basically more elves.
Yeah, look, it's elves. And part of me feels that I kind of like when Rankin-Bass plays with elves, usually. And so, like, if you could take apart just the tweeification of Irish culture and take that, like, completely out. Don't call these guys leprechauns, just make them elves. Don't give them accents. It's kind of fun. It's still extremely, like, paper thin.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here. But you strip out all of the stage Irish elements of this, it's all right. It's whatever. It is a short.
It's claymation. It's, looks fun.
It's not claymation. It's stop motion.
Well, stop motion,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Look, I'm debating that because claymation is a very specific thing. That is the Will Vinton, whatever. It is their puppet style. It's the same kind of puppets that they were doing all the way back with Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I like the design of some of this stuff. There's actually like a neat moment where the evil banshee, is in disguise as a girl and she whips around with an evil face and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there's no good visuals in this. There actually are. But there's nothing here, man.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's... okay. A cabin boy, sadly not Chris Elliott, washes up on... Dinty Doyle. Oh, yeah. God. Well, the head of the Dinty Moore beef stew conglomerate. No, so Dinty Doyle washes up on the shore of an island off the coast of Ireland that had been separated from the island by, banshees attacked or whatever. Yeah. He washes up on this island on Christmas Eve.
No, he's sent to the island to dig up
You're right. Yes.
a pine tree that's on there.
You're right. He doesn't wash up. He
releasing a banshee.
Yes. So the captain of his ship sends him off to go get a pine tree so that they can have a Christmas tree on the ship. But here's the thing. Like, the island is not that far from Ireland. His captain could have just waited till they pulled into Cork. He didn't have to go out and get a Christmas tree. This captain, dude, you could just wait. Like, seriously, this is like driving down the road and you're 20 minutes from home and you're like, I need to go get a Christmas tree now.
Well, they did say
and set it up in the car.
They did say the island floated away from Ireland.
Yeah, but it's not that far away. Like, they show us a map partway through this special, and it's not that far off the coast of Ireland.
But they show the earthquake removing the land bridge, but then they say that it floated away. So maybe this is like by Iceland or something.
Sure. Okay, fine. This is High Brazil.
Exactly.
And right. You don't even know what High Brazil is.
It's that.
Sure. All right.
This is the lost island of Turley.
Yes.
The Phantom Island of Turley.
Okay, and this is where a group of leprechauns live.
Exactly.
And they just happen to have gotten separated at some point.
As said in the old tales.
Look, I've read a lot of fairy lore, Irish fairy lore.
Uh-huh.
Like, I know people who are, kind of experts on this stuff. And
right. So you've heard this, right?
This is not. No. I mean, look. So there's certain things they get wrong. Because it's like the leprechauns versus a banshee. And their idea is like a banshee is an evil spirit. That's not really what a banshee is, okay? Banshee is literally an Irish word meaning fairy woman. And so literally it's just a fairy woman, usually often attached to a family. So maybe she's like an ancestral spirit. You know, it's debatable what exactly the idea is. Because it's actually what is exactly a fairy is up to a matter of debate. Academically, I'm serious. Like, this is actually, like, I'm reading a very interesting book right now called Godlings, which is all about, like, specifically British, not Irish, you know, like anthropology, but like what exactly is a fairy. And so, like, there is debate about what exactly is a fairy, right? You know, where does this idea come from? And, you know, is it like ancestral worship? Is it, you know, are they ancestor spirits? Are they like a completely separate, you know, being as we think of fairies? Is, you know, what exactly is it, right? So a banshee is tied to a family, and she will appear like when somebody is dying, and you will, you know, like there's a story in my own family about a banshee showing up when my mother's, I guess, Uncle Michael was dying upstate Pennsylvania, because it was my grandmother's brother. He had the Spanish flu, and then he never really recovered from that. And then like a year later, he's like on his deathbed, and, you know, this doctor shows up to the house, goes upstairs and says, "You're holding him back from dying, and you have to let him go." Like, I don't know who this doctor was or who this person was who showed up. And then, you know, that night, like, they heard the banshee wailing and he died. Okay. So that's like that's a story my Aunt Teresa told me. My Aunt Teresa's also a little, you know, yeah. So who knows if I'm even getting any of the details actually right. But anyway, so like a banshee is not an evil spirit. She's not, you know.
Are they always crying?
Well, so the idea in this is that the banshees are made of tears. And if they don't get gold before Christmas, they turn back into tears and disappear, right? And the idea that they're always crying, like in this, the banshee's always crying, and I guess they're taking that from the idea that the banshee wails when somebody is going to die, right? So I guess that's where they're getting that from. So you've got these leprechauns who dig gold, and you've got the other leprechaun clan who are shoemakers. That's lore. That's fine. And the ones that are digging gold, that's lore. That's
so that's
fine.
all true.
Sure. Okay. But like the depiction of the banshee in here, like that's not really what a banshee is. You know, there are evil fairies.
Is there an Irish folk creature or something that would have worked better that maybe had a name that they couldn't use?
Yeah,
because they couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah, probably. Like they could have gone. Like, yeah, there are different other figures they could have used. Now you're asking me off the top of my head, and I'm like, unfortunately, I'm actually for whatever reason thinking of like Scottish figures. But yes, there are definitely other scary fairies that they could have used instead of calling it a banshee. But the thing is, Americans don't know any of those creatures, so of course, like
so
they could have gotten the gruach or something like that.
We only know banshees,
right? Nobody knows what a gruach is or anything like that. So yes, they don't know who the Cailleach is. So we go with the banshee because that's the only thing anybody ever remembers. All right, so I'm annoyed, but fine. So yes, this kid shows up on the island, decides to dig up a pine tree, releases the banshee. Now the banshee has to get her Christmas gold or she'll disappear. So then it's, 15, 20 minutes of her trying to get Christmas gold.
And we find out that Christmas gold is buried under mounds that are covered with
shamrocks.
Clover.
Yeah.
Shamrocks.
And, the idea that there's gold hidden in, like, magic hills, like, yeah, that's fine. That's lore. It gets weird, though, when they decide that Lord of the Leprechauns is St. Patrick.
Yeah.
Like, when our chief leprechaun, whose name, by the way...
Now, they say a couple of Patricks. Are there multiple Patricks? Is this like a multi-faced god?
I don't know what the heck they're talking about when they say, like, one of the Patricks. I'm like, okay, like, they're... Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Like, there's one St. Patrick. There was like a guy maybe before St. Patrick called Palladius, but that's you're getting into like church history. That's a whole other thing. I don't know where they're coming up with like their concept of who Patrick was is really weird and confusing. Like apparently St. Patrick is now a fairy, which is ironic to say the least. If you know anything about St. Patrick, like it's the opposite. What are you talking about? This is all made by a bunch of like guys from Philadelphia and they're animators who live in Japan.
Yeah.
They have no contact with Irish culture. Like, they're just completely pulling this out. She tries to trick them into giving her the Christmas gold, and the leprechaun outsmarts her by giving the gold to Dinty. But then she tricks Dinty by appearing as a beautiful woman and telling him, let's take the gold back to the town of Killarney and we'll have a big party.
And then she says he has to sleep for 100 Christmases.
Yeah, so then once he gives her the gold, she puts him under her spell so that he's going to sleep for 100 Christmases.
And then what happens is, I have no idea.
Well, then what happens is our leprechauns see what happened to him and they feel terrible about it. And the husband and wife reconcile. And when they reconcile, St. Patrick suddenly appears and causes a rainbow to appear. Because apparently St. Patrick is God.
Yeah.
And also, like, the Lord of the Leprechauns and a fairy. I like the theology of this is real. It's not even shaky. I don't even understand it. St. Patrick appears, and then a rainbow shows up, and then a rainbow, like, causes the Christmas gold to appear. The banshee goes to take the gold, and while she's doing that, Dinty wakes up again because the love of the two leprechaun husband and wife reuniting, I guess, wakes him up.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how deciding not to get divorced is going to make people, like, that doesn't usually bring people out of comas. But cool. Okay. Well, because they're separated for, like, who knows how long?
100 years.
They've been separated for 100 years?
Yeah, because he says, I haven't seen that clan since for 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the banshee goes to get the Christmas gold, but she's doing it as the sun is rising on Christmas morning, and so then she turns into tears and disappears. Now here's the thing, like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. Like, it has a nice fairy tale sort of quality to what happens in it. If they just didn't call it leprechauns, they didn't have these Americans doing these terrible Irish accents. Like, if you stripped all that out and you just made them fairies and you just made Dinty just a guy, it's a charming 15-minute at most story.
You know what? It's sort of like the Ents and the Entwives. A little bit.
Oh, actually, no, you're not wrong.
Because it's like, they're separated for a tremendous amount of time. And
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
But the Entwives never show back up again.
Well, maybe in the fourth age or fifth age. I don't know. But they do manage to shoehorn in, like, every Irish cliche we know. So except for maybe drinking. But
oh, thank God.
but there's rainbows, there's gold, there's pots of gold, there's St. Patrick, there's leprechauns, there's four-leaf clovers.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah. Oh, a body count.
It does have a body count.
She dies.
Yeah.
So and there's a little kind of a love triangle, like in her, the gold, and then I don't know.
There's no love. There is not a love triangle. There's look.
But at least there's a body count.
There is at least a body count. Our lead leprechaun, by the way, his name is Blarney Killarney, which is weird enough, and he's the he's the head of the Killarney clan of leprechauns.
Mm-hmm.
But then halfway through this, once Blarney, the leprechaun, gives the gold to Dinty, and Dinty is then tricked by the banshee in the guise of a young girl. She tricks him by them getting together and singing Christmas in Killarney. So let me get this straight. The leprechaun's name is Killarney.
Yeah.
But then there's also the town of Killarney.
Right.
Completely unrelated, and they sing Christmas in Killarney.
Well, they ran out of Irish words to use.
Apparently. Look, I've been studying the Irish language for a long time right now. Is it a difficult language? It looks a lot different from English. I'll give you that. But pick up a dictionary. Try something. Just pick up a goddamn book.
I guess he should have been Blarney Galway.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay, fine. You know what? That's
Blarney Dublin.
Blarney Dublin. You have ancestors you don't even know who are going to haunt you tonight. That is the worst. Speaking of the worst.
Yep.
Art Carney is the voice of our leprechaun.
Yeah.
And Art Carney famously is in one of the most reviled holiday specials of all time.
What's that?
The Star Wars holiday special.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
I forgot.
Yeah.
And this is like, 2 years after?
Yeah.
A year or two?
It's not that long after.
Man, they should have brought everyone. Love and Spoonful.
Oh my God.
Lumpy.
Yeah, why weren't there any Wookiees in this? I could have done with 15 minutes of grunting.
Oh, that would have been great.
So yeah, I mean, what do you think is worse? This or the Star Wars Holiday Special?
I guess this. Because the Star Wars Holiday Special at least has the animated Boba Fett thing, which is fun.
But here's the thing. Does the animated Boba Fett, like, cartoon really outweigh this weird, dumb thing? When you consider that the Star Wars Holiday Special also features, again, 15 minutes of grunting with no subtitles or nothing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there is.
That's a plus. That's on the good
we
side.
get to watch Chewbacca's, is he his dad or his father-in-law, basically watching porn.
Well, what you do, you watch that and then you don't watch it for 40 years and you forget that.
I've watched the holiday special like at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I have not forgotten.
No.
So again, now look, on the one hand, the Star Wars Holiday Special does feature B. Arthur doing a cabaret act.
Yeah. And it's got multiple Harvey Korman.
And it has multiple Harvey Kormans in it.
Yeah.
So, and it was written by, of course, Bruce Vilanch.
Yeah.
And boy, does it feel like it. So, it's not good. Again, it's got the grunting for like 15 minutes.
That's a plus.
And it's got a coked out Carrie Fisher, actually that's a plus, singing Star Wars, basically. It's really weird. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they're kind of on a par.
Yeah.
They're both bad.
See? Yeah.
But I don't know, man. The Star Wars Holiday Special kind of does edge this out just
because it's like a variety show of nonsense.
Yeah. This is worse than that. Yeah.
This one's just too slight to even remember.
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing to this. I'll probably never watch it again. And I've rewatched Rudolph's Shiny New Year. I've rewatched the Star Wars Holiday Special.
This is going to be an episode of our show that we won't remember we did.
No, I've completely forgot this happened. When this show comes out, we're going to be standing at the Bowery Ballroom watching Yola Tango. I'm not going to remember any of this.
Yep.
I won't even remember to promote this episode. Oh, so that was The Leprechauns Christmas Gold, starring Art Carney, Peggy Cass. Bob McFadden is the Lord of the Leprechauns, who is St. Patrick. I don't know. Everybody else I'm going to list does not have a picture on IMDb, if that tells you anything. Ken Jennings, not that Ken Jennings, plays Dinty Doyle. And Christine Mitchell plays Old Meg.
Nice ponytail, by the way, Dinty.
I feel like they just swapped the head off of a girl and put it on a...
I know. If you didn't hear any dialogue, you would just think that this girl had washed up on the shore.
And then Christine Mitchell plays Old Meg, the banshee. Written by Romeo Muller, who also wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and whatnot. And directed by Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin Jr., a.k.a. Rankin-Bass.
And you can find it under a rock.
Where you can find this is on the Internet Archive, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very much a forgotten piece of Christmas television. So, from 1981. All right. Well, you can follow us on social media. We are Merry VS Movies on Twitter. Actually, you know what? I'll just say we are Merry VS Movies on all of the major social media platforms. Except for Tumblr, where we are Merry versus the Movies. And you know what? We don't actually have a Facebook page. Maybe we ought to do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I never thought about it. No, I've just been posting it to my own Facebook thing. Yeah. Maybe we'll set up a Facebook because, people are on Facebook.
Yeah.
But anyway, otherwise, we are Merry VS Movies. Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, whatever we're calling X or Twitter or whatever. That's where we are. We are somewhere, look for us wherever words are written down. I don't know. Oh, and we're on TikTok now.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis has done several cartoons, kind of, taking bits of the show and animating them, and they are awesome. I love them. I'm so excited by them, and it is so cool. Also, if you go out and follow not just us on Instagram, but if you follow Bob Sellers Bob, he always throws like a little shout out to us in his Instagram stories. And
Those are cool.
Yeah, he does a nice little promo for us every week. And thank you very much to Bob. Also, thank you recently to Dan Wade of the Wheel of Randy podcast, who had us on for a benefit concert he did down in Oklahoma City for a trans youth group, and we will actually put out another link. We performed together as Death Elf, which is our band, and we'll put out the link for that again because it suddenly escapes my mind. And also, it's a podcast, and nobody, it's easier if I just put a link out. But anyway, so thank you again to Dan Wade for having us on. Thank you to Bob Sellers for promoting us. Thank you to lots of people. Thank you to everybody who joins our Patreon, because we have a Patreon, by the way. Patreon.com/MaryVSMovies, where you can help support the show. And for $3 a month, you get access to our second podcast, Hollywood Avalon, where we watch movies of an Arthurian bent. Our most recent episode is a bunch of Bugs Bunny cartoons, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We watched 99 Bugs, Nightmare Hair, just a whole bunch of Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Nights Must Fall.
Nights Must Fall, Bugs Bunny and King Arthur's Court. So yeah, we watch everything from Bugs Bunny cartoons to the 1950s MGM epic The Knights of the Round Table to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You name it. We recently watched the 2004 absolute piece of garbage King Arthur. So yeah, that's our secondary podcast. If you help support the show on Patreon, you get access to that. Also, you don't have to do it through Patreon. You can always just sign up for our newsletter. We have a newsletter where we write about the movie we watch every week and other stuff that we're watching or checking out, concerts we've been to, whatever. And Dennis always likes to review pizza. It is our newsletter. You can get access to that either through the Patreon directly, or you can just write to us at maryvsmovies@gmail.com, and we will put you on the mailing list. It's a fun thing we do, and we try to put it out every time we put out an episode. So next week, as I said, as an apology to the Irish people, we will be covering John Huston's final film, The Dead, a dramatization of James Joyce's short story, which is set at Christmas time. This is like an actual movie.
This is our first John Huston film.
It is. That's
of the
exciting.
80s.
Yeah.
Because I know Pritzi's Honor is on the list.
Pritzi's Honor's on the list, and I grew up watching Annie, so we can't cover Annie. Yeah, that was a movie I watched a lot as a kid. But yeah, so this is like one of the few John Huston films I've actually never seen. So I'm very excited.
Cool.
Yeah. So until next time.
You don't have to chew your cabbage twice.